But let's go in order with the two shows. We'll talk about Saturday night's main event first. It is the 40th installment of Saturday night's main event, 40 also being the age that Bill Goldberg was in 2006. We should get at least one more match announced tomorrow. Every one of these shows that they've done so far has had no less than 4 matches. Some of them have had 5. Right now we have 3. So it could be an Intercontinental title match between AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio, because that match was bumped from the Night of Champions card, so we still have to get that one. If it happens, I'm picking Dom to retain. But there's also the women's Intercontinental title, after Bayley and Lyra Valkyria went to a draw on Monday to decide a number 1 contender. So it looks like we're getting a triple threat match very soon with all 3 women. I was thinking at Evolution, but it could happen here. Because right now we have no women's matches on the Saturday show. I figured they're all saving them for Sunday. But if they wanted to have one, that would be the one. And if the match does happen, Becky retains. Drew McIntyre returned on SmackDown Friday night, which is back to 2 hours, by the way. Can I get a hallelujah? We've got 2-hour SmackDowns back. I thought SmackDown was a fucking bore on Friday, but think of how much worse it would have been at 3 hours instead of 2. McIntyre showing up, though, was one of the few highlights of that show. He interrupted a Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton segment where Orton acknowledged that he hesitated in their match at Night of Champions in the King of the Ring final. He was going to go deliver the punt kick, and he had a moment where he just couldn't bring himself to do it. He hesitated. Cody took advantage. So now he wants Cody to make sure he goes to SummerSlam, and he kicks John Cena's ass. And maybe if Cody fails to do so, that could be the catalyst for Randy to drop him with an RKO. Right? You beat me just to go to SummerSlam and lose. You wasted it. He's like Abby in The Last of Us. I let you live, and you wasted it. That could be Randy Orton. But McIntyre mocked Orton for basically going soft. Said the Legend Killer is dead. And then he ate an RKO for his troubles, and he got Nick Aldis, McIntyre did, to make the match for Saturday night's main event. It'll be McIntyre against Randy Orton. Not really a match that either man can afford to lose, but it's Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. So, I mean, they're pretty much bulletproof, especially Orton. But I think it works better if McIntyre wins. He just came back. It works better if he wins anyway, because it only drives Orton that much closer to the edge of the cliff. So Drew McIntyre is my pick to win. Speaking of returns, we had one on Raw Monday night. LA Knight. He returned. He brawled with Seth Rollins up on the concourse, even threw popcorn on him. Rollins threw a drink at Knight and then made his escape. So now LA Knight will wrestle Seth Rollins. And LA Knight will lose, because I cannot see Seth Rollins losing this match. I think Rollins may be the one to break the Money in the Bank curse. How many Money in the Bank winners traditionally have won the briefcase only to go on to be booked into oblivion and lose every match? Well, it's fine. They have the briefcase, so we could just beat them. I don't think that's going to happen with Seth. Not when he's leading the new top heel faction in the company. I don't know what that means for the future of LA Knight, who should be moved over to Raw permanently. But Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker will get involved. Knight will eat a stomp at the end of this. Seth Rollins is the predicted winner here. Will it be this match? Will this match be the match that Jesse Ventura does commentary for? Is this the match where Jesse Ventura will get upset with the referee's incompetence? That seems to be a running theme here on these Saturday night's main event shows. Which match will they have him doing commentary for? Maybe the main event. The main event will be the shortest of all the matches. So maybe they'll save Jesse for that one. But in that main event, we have Gunther defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Goldberg in what will be Goldberg's retirement match. He has said that his son Gage will walk him to the ring here in his adopted hometown of Atlanta. He should get a mostly positive reaction. You can't rule out the possibility of some boo birds or cheers for Gunther, but I do think that he'll get a good reaction here in Atlanta. What we will get out of him in the ring, that is the question. He is 58 years old. He is in much better shape than probably most 58-year-olds. Still keeps himself in good shape, but being in good shape and being in ring shape, especially at that age, are two different things. And he has been very open on his podcast about the number of injuries and setbacks that he has suffered during training for this one match. Hasn't had a match in 3 years. You know, the older you get, the more time you go without being in the ring and taking bumps. That's not a good thing. You know, Kurt Angle talked about that. It's one of the reasons why, and Kurt Angle wasn't quite as old as Goldberg was when he came back to WWE, but it's why he went to Vince and said, look, I want to wrestle. And Vince was like, no, I want you to be the general manager and do that for a year. And then we could talk about you getting back in the ring. Because Kurt knew, like, if I'm not in the ring and I'm not active on a regular basis, you know, my body is just going to stiffen up. And that's exactly what happened. He said that when I finally came back to the ring and Vince had me doing stuff in the ring, sometimes it looked like he could barely move, because that's what happens when you're just not active in that way. Goldberg is somebody who obviously trains very hard and probably is harder on himself than he needs to be. And so on his body, physically, that's not necessarily a good thing. So I think that there's a reason to be concerned when he goes on these different shows and says, yeah, you know, I have a knee that I can't even run on because I'm in pain, and I hurt this and I did that in training, and I went overboard on this. I don't know what we're going to get here in this match. This does not need to go longer than 5 minutes at the most. And it may not even last that long. There doesn't need to be a single commercial break during this match. They should be able to fit the entire thing into one segment after the entrances are done. All Goldberg has to do is a few quick power moves. Sell for a little bit. I know that's not his forte, but sell for a little bit and hit a spear. That's it. Maybe try for a jackhammer. Gunther, though, slips behind him into the choke, and you go to the finish from there. I don't know if they're going to have Goldberg lose his retirement match in a sleeper hold, because that's too close to how he lost to Roman Reigns in his last match in the guillotine when Roman put him out. But that is all this match needs to be. Bill Goldberg should not, under any circumstances, beat Gunther. Bill Goldberg should not, under any circumstances, hold a world championship ever again. That ship has sailed. It should have been over after that last match with Brock Lesnar. That would have been the perfect match for him to go out on, defending the title at WrestleMania. They had a 6-minute sprint with each other. It was great. They avenged their horrible WrestleMania 20 match. What a way to go out. But here we are. And so we have to just get past this to get to SummerSlam. They did a segment on Raw Monday night where Seth Rollins came out to confront Gunther. And then CM Punk came out and he fought with Rollins, who bailed into the crowd. And when Punk went to go leave, Gunther grabbed him by the arm and Punk shoved him down on his ass, and he warned him, stay out of my business. Felt to me like the perfect setup to a triple threat match at SummerSlam. You know, if Rollins loses, he still has the briefcase that he can cash in. Gunther against Punk, or Gunther against Punk against Rollins. That should be the night one main event for SummerSlam. I don't want to see Goldberg win the title here just to drop the belt to Seth Rollins immediately after on the cash-in. Goldberg should not beat Gunther. That's it. And I say that he won't. I don't believe he will. Gunther will retain the championship, and Goldberg will have a nice send-off at the very end, and his son could come into the ring to celebrate with him. He could wave goodbye to all the fans, and he rides off into the sunset. Now, I will say this. If Seth Rollins loses to LA Knight on this show, then I think for sure he's cashing it at the end of this match. Whether Goldberg wins first or he turns it into a triple threat like WrestleMania 31, if Rollins loses to LA Knight, he's totally cashing in at the end of the show. And if Rollins loses tonight, Knight would have to get the title match at SummerSlam because he would have a win over Seth Rollins. I just don't see that happening, though. No Cody Rhodes on the show, but he was in the news this week. There was a Deadline.com report confirming his role in the upcoming Street Fighter movie. He's going to be playing Guile. Guile is an Air Force pilot, hence the sonic boom. That's where that comes from. The cast for this movie is it's something else. I mean, I already went through some of the names. Was it last week or the week before when I mentioned Roman? 50 Cent is in this thing. And so is Roman Reigns. He has already been cast as Akuma. This is not the place I was expecting to get Cody Roman Part 3, but here we are. Cody is expected to take some time off after SummerSlam to film. Production begins next month in Australia. What does that mean for his chances of beating John Cena at SummerSlam? Or beating him and then maybe getting cashed in on? I don't know. I don't think that this for sure means he's not winning the title. Maybe they'll only need him for a couple of weeks. Like Liv Morgan with that Bad Lieutenant movie she filmed. She was gone for a few weeks? She wasn't gone for very long. But I have no opinion one way or the other on Cody being cast because I've never seen him act before in a movie. I think he's done some TV work on that Stephen Amell show, but I've never seen him in a movie. I know he's got a cameo in the new Naked Gun movie that's coming out with Liam Neeson, which I don't think is out yet. I haven't seen it, but I have no opinion one way or the other or how much dialogue Guile might have in the movie, but that's what he'll be doing. Now, speaking of Saturday night's main event, John Cena this week confirmed that his retirement match will take place sometime in mid-December, but he claims that they're still trying to find a place for it. About a month ago, there was a TV station in Boston that did a story on Cena's retirement. I think they even interviewed his father for it. And at the very end of the segment, when they came back to the anchor in studio, they just kind of casually mentioned that the match would happen in December at the TD Garden Arena in Boston. Mid-December is when they did Saturday night's main event last year. So it looks like a mid-December retirement match in Boston, very likely on Saturday night's main event, which would be very disappointing because that just means his final match is going to be littered with commercials. And that just feels wrong. See, Goldberg is having his retirement match on Saturday night's main event, but like I said, Goldberg's matches are 3 minutes long, so you could fit the entire thing into one segment. This is different, but it's looking like that's probably what it's going to end up being.